Hello, 'tis I, Fat Cow. I don't feel good. And I don't know why I just squeaked them. You know that I have fibromyalgia, that I was diagnosed almost 13 years ago now, and that it has greatly reduced my quality of life. Well, today is a weird day. I'm going to try and elaborate, but it's really difficult to put into words. I feel like my body doesn't belong to me, that it's not mine, that I don't have complete control of it. Everything feels like an effort, and I have to concentrate in order to do things. It's hard to walk. Sewing I can do, but I feel like I've been sewing for days endlessly, and that I've gotten to the point where my muscles and joints are so fatigued that everything requires a push, an effort, and I have to focus more on doing it. I think the best word to describe how I feel physically at the moment is clumsy. Everything feels heavy. My limbs feel dead, as in they've gone numb and they're just beginning to recover feeling. So everything's just feels like there's extra gravity. It's like trying to swim through molasses. My brain is also lagging somewhat, and while I feel tired, it's more of a mental fatigue. There's just no oomph, there's no spark, there's no energy. I mean, how else can it be described? And I'm very much when it comes to doing anything, to be honest. It's a mental exhaustion. It's everything just feels like a struggle that you have to fight for it. It began somewhat yesterday, but today it's from the second I woke up. The second I woke up, my body, my brain is just like, fuck this shit. And so while I will do what I have to do in any other normal day, because I'm a mother, I'm a pet owner, I have things I have to do, everything is going to require an effort, an extra effort. And that's just how it gets sometimes. I don't know if there's a reason for this per se, if I'm responding physically and mentally to something, or if I've been doing too much, or I don't know. That's the thing about fibromyalgia. It comes in waves. It's always there. You will never feel normal or healthy or regular like everybody else ever again. But your normal is what you're used to and what you deal with and what you manage from a day-to-day basis. And then things will happen or not, and your normal will get worse. And also with fibromyalgia, there is always this fear that when things get worse, although it may be a flare, which means it's temporary, although you have to bear in mind that temporary could be anything from a few days to months, you always have this fear that this low that you're going through is going to be your next new normal, and that you'll have to adjust to feeling even more shit permanently. What I'm basically saying is this has all resulted in, and psychologically, an extreme lack of enthusiasm for anything, and that my response to anything that is going on in girl world today is they're both crashing and burning, and while I have a lot to say, my brain doesn't want to. So I'm asking you guys for some patience while I figure out what's going on with myself. I will be here in spirit, and I will be pottering around in the background because I am incapable of doing nothing. It doesn't sit with me. It psychologically drives me batty doing nothing. I mean, I'm not exactly going to be running marathons, but I just might be sitting in my chair listening to things while sewing. But that might be the best you get from me. I'm not secretive about my illnesses. I feel there's no need to be. There's no shame in being disabled. And while some of you might think I have no right to give myself that label, for a very, very long time I felt the same. For the first 5 years I couldn't even bring myself to consider myself to be disabled. But the fact of the matter is, my fibromyalgia has greatly affected my quality of life and greatly affects my ability to do stuff that healthy people take for granted. And at the end of the day, just because I don't appear on first look disabled, I am. I have a disability, that's a chronic illness. It's been recognised medically as a disability. I am considered by the authorities as a disabled person. And I am unfortunate enough to have what has been termed an invisible illness, which means that sometimes people will make judgments based on what they hear me say and what, on first appearance, they see. If you paid close attention, I mean really close attention, you would see though. You would see I stumble over words. You would see I walk with a limp, a small limp on normal days and a more pronounced limp on less than normal days. You would notice, you just notice stuff if you paid attention. And that goes for anybody with a chronic illness. If you actually spent time and paid attention, you would notice. People with chronic illnesses, particularly, as in my case, chronic pain and chronic fatigue, learn to come across as being the same as everybody else. We don't grimace when we're in pain unless it's really, really bad. We mask. We learn to portray ourselves as just being like everybody else. We don't go around saying ouch all the time and complaining all the time, because if we complained every time we were in pain, we'd never stop. Anyway, not my normal kind of video, but an explanation as to why I won't be making my normal my normal content today, and I can't speak about tomorrow. I don't know what tomorrow holds. I can't even speak about later. Maybe something will pop up and my brain will want or even demand, thank you ADHD, that I do a response to it. Just be patient, please, if you can. And to all my fellow Spoonies out there, be kind to yourself.